Football, Rising to Glory as the Strongest Post Player, Episode 51. Lee Casley's voice was so loud that fans sitting in front of the TV could hear it clearly through the live broadcast. The Manchester City under-18 defenders on the pitch are all focused on the pitch and have no extra attention on the sidelines, so they can't hear him. However, T. Wilson and E. Francis are both experienced defensive players who know to be fouled decisively in such unfavorable defensive situations. But many times the idea is one thing, and the reality is another. Judging from the past 80-odd minutes of play, Li Qing is not so easy to be fouled, especially one-on-one defense. His speed and explosiveness are shocking, so T. Wilson and E. Francis are waiting for the opportunity to foul. Of course, as a professional player, there is an obsession in my heart. The same professional players, why can't they use conventional means to complete the defense? Brewster took Giovanni to the left rib. Li Qing quickly dribbled the ball to Manchester City's U18 defense of the 40-meter area, and the fighting T. Wilson and E. Francis looked at each other and knew that the next defense would be very critical. If there's no way to leave the ball or the person where it is, then they may not qualify for the next round of the FA Youth Cup. Resolute eyes, unyielding fighting spirit, the brave win when meeting on a narrow road. Li Qing ran in the center and said silently, 5-star technology card, use. With little time left to play, it's important to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Looking at the past 3 goals, they are all related to the lack of concentration of Manchester City's U18 players, and this time, it is still necessary to strangle the throat of fate. There was only one 5-star technology card left in the inventory in an instant, and Li Qing, who raised his head to look ahead, could clearly feel that he had a subtle and strong connection with football. 3 meters away from T. Wilson and E. Francis, Li Qing kept pedaling the bicycle with both feet during the fast run, and his 2 shoulders tilted very much with the movement, each pretending to change direction as if it was real. E. Francis stepped forward, and T. Wilson took the place to try to stop the football 35 meters from the goal. Foul, at most, a yellow card and a direct free kick from 35 meters away. Such a price is much more affordable than backwardness. After a good calculation, will it turn out like this? In the face of the imposing E. Francis, Li Qing had already guessed what the other party wanted to do, only to see his left shoulder sink. The amplitude was even more exaggerated than before, making a false impression of accelerating the breakthrough from the middle. E. Francis consciously closed in the middle in the process of stepping forward, so as to get closer to the breakthrough Li Qing, convenient for fouling. However, the next moment, Li Qing's left foot did not touch the football, the 2 feet alternately supported, the powerful explosive force of the left foot turned into a huge reaction force, the outer instep of the right foot was pulled to the football, and the whole person broke through from the opposite direction of E. Francis' movement. High-speed movement counts against every second, and the consequences of the wrong choice between electric flintstones are unimaginable, and T. Wilson ran towards Li Qing's breakthrough. At the same time, Li Qing, who broke through to the right front, violently used the inside of the instep of his right foot to move the football forward. The speed increased again, T. Wilson's pupils shrank sharply, and he realized that Li Qing was trying to use speed to eat himself. Although the distance between the last 2 points between the 3 points is the shortest, Li Qing's speed is fast enough. Even if his position is still behind T. Wilson, he can use his speed to forcibly make up for it. T. Wilson was determined to seize the opportunity to foul, but Li Qing, who was killed by the attacking right rib with the ball at high speed, suddenly became sluggish, and the outside instep of his left foot gently swung the ball to the middle, that is, the left side broke through. Instinctively, T. Wilson slowed down. Unexpectedly, as soon as he lowered his speed, Li Qing sharply increased his speed again, and the inside of the instep of his left foot dunked the football that was dialed to the center back to the right front. Flick the tail of the bull. Such a rapid change in foot frequency, T. Wilson could not resist at all, and when he accelerated again, he suddenly felt a spasm in his left calf that was kicking the ground, and he wanted to grit his teeth and insist. He saw Li Qing overtaking between the electric flint, and his body seemed to lose his strength and fell to the ground in pain. Li Qing naturally ignored T. Wilson, who only had Manchester City's U18 final goalkeeper embarks in front of him. As long as the ball is scored, the team has a good chance of taking away a victory on this stadium. Manchester City under-18 manager Lee Casley covered his face with painful hands. Li Qing has scored a hat-trick, and now he is single-handed. Goalkeeper embarks can stop him? The odds are there, but definitely not high. The visiting dugout and Neil Crutcherley, Gerrard, Mike Goretti, and the players on the bench were ecstatic and prayed in their hearts. Goal! Goal! Embarks looked at Li Qing, who was getting closer and closer. His throat squirmed, he swallowed his spit, and he really didn't know what to do in the face of Li Qing, who scored 3 goals in a row. Sancho, Diaz, and Foden stared at Li Qing, who was riding in the dust, as if he had been hit hard. and lowered his head at the cross, as if he had predicted the end. Li Qing, who came to the top of the arc of the penalty area, noticed that embarks standing on the penalty spot was distracted and obviously lacking in fighting spirit. He grinned, slowed down his forward speed, adjusted his footsteps, stood with his right foot on the line of the penalty area, and raised his left foot. The football clings to the grass like a snake and quickly rushes to the lower right corner of the goal. Embarks reacts surprisingly fast, but his body sinks faster than the ball rolling forward, and the ball has crossed just halfway down his body. Manchester City fans standing behind the goal saw it particularly clearly, their expressions frozen, and they watched the football cross the goal line and then continue to roll up the net in the lower right corner of the goal. "Hello seniors! Happy seniors!" A Liverpool fan in the crowd looked at the smiling Li Qing and murmured, slowly raised his arms, and then raised his arms and shouted, "God! What do I see? Incredible performance." Episode 52. Li Qing's fourth goal of the game was a complete break in the confidence of Manchester City's under-18 players, with Jadon Sancho, Foden and Diaz each bracing their knees and gasping for air. At this point in the game, their physical strength is almost exhausted, and the chances of equalizing the score are slim. Liverpool U18 coaches, players, and a few Liverpool fans celebrated Li Qing's fourth goal in this game, but Li Qing was the most calm as a goaler. Some of the Manchester City under-18 players on the field slumped on the ground, some pursed their lips and crossed their waist, some dragged their hands on their knees, gasped for air, and the game has now consumed almost all their physical strength. Where is the physical strength to equalize the score? The equalizer was followed by extra time, which ended with a penalty shootout. Thinking of this, they felt powerless in their hearts, not to mention the equalizer. Once a player loses confidence in the game, the rest of the game basically means garbage time. Manchester City's under-18s no longer have hope for the game, but Liverpool under-18 manager Neil Qing has not taken it lightly, insisting on sailing carefully to the 10,000-year-old ship. As long as the whistle does not sound at the end of the game, then he must concentrate 100% or even 200%. The celebration of Liverpool U18 players was so long that the referee had to intervene, and Li Qing's calm mood was affected by his teammates, and his heart was surging. He thanked the Liverpool fans who shouted hoarsely, and gave a playful look when facing Tong Shinbing, causing the other party to return a blank eye. Originally, the referee saved time for Manchester City's U18 equalizer, but the home team players were all lost and did not mean to seize the time to kick off. It took about half a minute to restart the game, and the loss was relieved to a certain extent, but to break through the scrappy Liverpool U18 goal, the difficulty factor is high. Coupled with Li Qing as a good counterattacker, Manchester City U18 players are difficult to do their best to attack. As a result, Manchester City's under-18s had an extremely rare front-to-back disconnect. Neil Qing, who was standing in the coaching area of the visiting team, raised his lips. He knew that this game basically meant that it had been won. The players on the own side are full of momentum, and the opposing players have no fighting spirit. How can this be compared? Li Qing stayed as hot, as long as he can take the opportunity to expand the score in the next time, then. The game is a certainty. Before injury time, Li Qing received a clearance from central defender Masterson to the Manchester City under-18 defensive half. He has already contributed 4 goals in this game. Manchester City under-18 players are worried that he will score another goal, and the remaining defenders are all focused on him. However, Li Qing had a broad vision and noticed Brewster, who was following up in the middle of the way. A long and accurate pass that was not far away found Brewster, who was inserted at high speed, and Brewster single-handedly faced goalkeeper Embarks with a very calm choice, and then scored an empty goal after the plate. This goal was also the last goal of the game. Liverpool under-18s, who were not favored as a visitor, beat home team Manchester City under-18s 5-3 under Li Qing's leadership to advance to the last 16 of this season's FA Youth Cup. Beep beep beep, accompanied by 3 long whistles sounded by the on-duty referee to symbolize the end of the game. Liverpool U18 players on and off the field rushed towards Li Qing in tacit. They all know that being able to eliminate Manchester City under-18s away from home is all a credit to Li Qing. Li Qing's vision was wide, and Yu Guang saw his teammates on and off the field swarming excitedly, and his heart suddenly clicked, realizing that something was going wrong, pulling out his legs and running. As a result, there was a scene on the field where Li Qing flashed and moved in the running, avoiding various teammates, but in the end, he was unable to fight with both fists and 4 hands, helplessly surrounded, and finally had to accept the enthusiastic celebration of his teammates. Masterson, Harvey White, Brewster, and goalkeeper Grabala grabbed Li Qing's limbs, and other teammates played an auxiliary role, and then under the count of Captain Masterson, they tacitly threw 1 meter or 2 into the air. "I'm a mom, help. Put me down." It's just that the louder Li Qing screams, the more excited his teammates seem to be. Liverpool U18 beat Manchester City U18 5-3 at Manchester City College. Even Liverpool fans who follow Liverpool's youth academy did not expect it, so when they saw the score, they were stunned, as if they thought the news was fake. There are fans who feel the same and Manchester City fans who pay attention to Manchester City's youth training, to know that the entire English youth training has done the best only two. One is Manchester City, the other is Chelsea. This season's National Youth Super League third round Manchester City U18 is a 7 o'clock victory over Liverpool U18. How come it has been rubbed at home in the past 4 months? Unscientific. Only Manchester City fans who watched the live broadcast know that Manchester City U18 did not lose to Liverpool U18, strictly speaking, to a young man named Li Qing. Big 4 plus assists. That teenager deserves to be the best in the audience. Although the FA Youth Cup and the Youth Super League have not received much attention in England, the matches played by Manchester City and Liverpool's youth academy have been greatly affected, especially the headline party gimmicks that the media have painstakingly created, which indirectly increased the attention of this match. Through this game, Li Qing is truly famous in England. Manchester City's failure to beat him is enough to prove his strength. Mendes looked at various news reports praising Li Qing and smiled brightly. He knows that this investment will definitely not be a loss. Liverpool U18 returned to Liverpool by train that night. Li Qing rarely tirelessly brushed the news reports on the internet about the English Youth FA Cup, and his smile has never stopped. According to his guess, first-team manager Jurgen Klopp will surely inform him within 3 days that he can go to Melwood Training Base, where Liverpool's senior team trains. If you get Klopp's promotion, then he has the confidence to stay there forever. Episode 53. The day after the game day was school week, Li Qing started school again, and before he reached the school gate, Liverpool fans gave him a high thumbs up all the way, let alone when he came to school. As a future star, Li Qing's mentality adjustment is very in place. Facing enthusiastic Liverpool fans is enthusiastic waving, meeting fans who want to take photos is also unconditionally satisfied. If the FA Cup is the stage for adult players to prove themselves, then the FA Youth Cup is the stage for young players to prove themselves. Klopp, who went to work the next day, was ready to fulfill his promise with Mendes, but when he came to the Kirkby Academy he learned that today is a holiday. So, he had to wait until Wednesday to come back. As a party, Li Qing pays all attention to learning. To put it simply, he is addicted to the ocean of knowledge and enjoys it. Li Qing represented the Liverpool U18 youth team during this time, and his academic performance has always ranked at the top of the class, and the senior school leader said that Li Qing will enter the high school of the Blue Clothes High School regardless of the final exam. However, Li Qing did not respond, because the Blue High School is not the best high school in Liverpool. Of course, as an uncle with a soul close to 30 years old, he definitely does not want to stay in school to waste time, but the Kirkby Academy has a clear rule that players must complete high school credits, and there is no explicit rule on whether to go to college or not. If you can't play professional football after high school, you will definitely continue to study, and if you play professional football, you will definitely not continue to study. According to the regular school age, he just graduated from high school at the age of 18, but Li Qing is very talented, and he has already received the attention of the first-team head coach before graduating from junior high school, but the relevant system of Kirkby Youth Academy has not made corresponding changes. To get back to business, Li Qing's 2-day study time passed quickly. The midweek training day was announced, and he came to the training base 1 hour earlier to train according to his usual training rhythm. His daily training won unanimous praise from the entire Kirkby Academy to the table, so much so that Uncle Jack, who was guarding the goal, gave a thumbs up when he saw Li Qing from a distance, and said proudly, "Li, I am optimistic that you will grow into a top superstar in world football under Jurgen." In this case, Li Qing often waved his hand with a low-key smile, indicating that it was too early, and then silently ran to the U18 training ground. After 20 minutes of jogging, 5 minutes to pull ligaments, Li Qing, who was preparing to train with a ball, saw someone coming. He looked up. It was a middle-aged man with half of his face covered with scum, a pair of glasses hanging from the bridge of his tall nose, and his eyes were shining. This isn't first-team manager Jurgen Klopp? Why did he come to the U18 youth team? There is no one else at all during this time period, is it? Thinking of this possibility, his expression instantly became colorful. Klopp's social resume is quite rich, and he can probably guess what Li Qing thinks, and he said with a smile, "Li, so happy? Do you think of something happy? Can you say it and share it?" Li Qing's excited expression instantly converged, and he shook his head and said, "Mr. Jurgen, you were wrong just now, right? I'm not laughing, you haha." Klopp looked at Li Qing meaningfully and said, "What a cute little guy." Li Qing shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Mr. Jurgen, coming to Coke by early in the morning, shouldn't it just be a whim? You won't believe me when I say it on a whim." Klopp's right hand gently put on Li Qing's left shoulder and said bluntly, starting tomorrow, you will go to Melwood to report. Speculation is speculation after all. When Li Qing really heard that Klopp promoted him to the first team, his mood instantly became extremely excited, but his facial expression was calm, his face was not red and his heart did not beat. Can't I go over today? Klopp stared at Li Qing suspiciously, a little puzzled. It stands to reason that as a young man, shouldn't he be excited to hear such happy news? How? So calm? It's not scientific. Immediately, he looked at Li Qing's eyes with more appreciation, and the right hand on his shoulder couldn't help but rise, and then slapped it down heavily. 1,000 words eventually converged into a slap. Hiss, Li Qing gasped in pain, his pupils shrank, and he stared at Klopp pitifully. Mr. Jurgen, aren't you afraid that my left shoulder blade is misaligned? Klopp smiled and put away his right hand that made a mistake, turned around, left Li Qing with a back, and waved his right hand. Remember to report to Melwood at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Li Qing's right hand covered his left shoulder, which still had obvious pain, looked at Klopp who was gradually moving away, and said speechlessly, this Klopp is too heavy. If you play under him in the future, will it be crippled? No, exercise more to improve the body's ability to resist blows. Klopp informed Academy Director Inglethorpe of his promotion to the first team, and then Inglethorpe informed the U18 coaching staff. Neil Cretchery, Mike Garrity, and Gerrard, although they knew there would be this day, did not expect it to come so quickly. The planned FA Youth Cup may be difficult to hold. Of course, they also thought that Li Qing's promotion to the first team this time was only temporary, but as a youth coach, they hoped that Li Qing would stay in the first team forever. As a result, Li Qing's training on the last day of the U18 youth team seemed to be extraordinarily large. Episode 54. Located between Liverpool and Derby, Melwood was built in the 50s and renovated once 6 years ago and is the training base for Premier League giants Liverpool's first team, but the remoteness of the training base from Liverpool City Centre is frustrating for Li Qing, who is visiting Melwood for the first time. Melwood is more remote than Corkby Academy, and in the L12 area outside Liverpool, Li Qing used to be able to ride a bicycle to Corkby Academy, but this time he had to choose a more advanced means of transport. Since he has not yet reached the age of 17, Li Qing is not old enough to get a driver's license, and he cannot drive a motorcycle, so he can only take the bus. Luckily, there was bus number 12 near his house, which took about 40 minutes at 12 stops and then got off at Melwood Avenue. Although it was only 8:30 in the morning, Li Qing, who got off at the Melwood Avenue bus stop, could see more than a dozen fans walking around in front of the private house opposite the training base. Apparently, these fans are waiting for the Liverpool players to drive to work to see if they can get autographs or group photos. There are also well-equipped journalists with professional DSLRs, ready to film footage for the star's arrival in Melwood. Li Qing was not attractive at all in the few crowds except for his handsome face, because these people came to Melwood for stars. Li Qing noticed that the reporter had no intention of himself, rolled his eyes, and said in his heart, "Sir, I am the best player in the FA Youth Cup." Unscrupulous journalist with no vision. There was a special young man in the crowd, saying that he was special, because he was different. He had yellow skin, black eyes, and black hair, and he had a distinct skin color from all white Europeans. He was about 25 years old, holding a professional-grade Canon SLR in his hand, and the camera was constantly changing, as if he was looking for the right shooting angle. Until a teenager appeared in the center of the camera. The teenager was about 1.7 meters or 6 meters tall. His figure looked relatively strong, carrying a Nike satchel, and the handsome face and confident smile that most easily attracted the attention of others. What attracts the attention of young people is that the teenager has the same skin color and hair color, perhaps because he stays abroad for a long time, and when he sees people with yellow skin, black eyes, and black hair, he always thinks that he is a compatriot, and he has an urge to speak. Watching the teenager walk towards Melwood, thinking that the teenager came here for the first time, he didn't know that fans were not allowed inside, so he quickly ran and blurted out in his native language, you wait. Li Qing, who walked towards the gate of Melwood's training base, heard a familiar Chinese language behind him, and out of conditioned reflex, he turned around and saw a young man running quickly with a professional SLR in his arms. The young man's mood became high, and he said excitedly, "You. Are you person?" "Essentially, actually, it isn't." 3 question marks instantly appeared above the young man's head. Li Qing didn't like to deal with strange men, even compatriots, so his tone was very light. "I am British Chinese. You speak Mandarin so well." The young man introduced himself with a work card hanging on his chest in his right hand. "I am Lu, a reporter from the Premier League area, and I am very happy to meet you." Out of politeness, Li Qing replied lightly, "My name is Li Qing." Without waiting for the other party to speak, he pointed to Melwood's door and said, "I'm going in, goodbye." Lulu reminded, "By the way, the Melwood training base is not open to the public today. and if you want to sign, you can only wait here. Saying that, he looked down at his watch. There is still about an hour before training, and the players usually arrive here around 9:30. Li Qing originally didn't want to deal with the reporter Lulu from the Ball Emperor, but he heard the kindness in the other party's words, and he was also a compatriot, so he shrugged his shoulders. Don't worry, I can go in. Impossible, right? Wait and see. I saw Li Qing take out a certificate from his satchel and walk to the uncle at the door and light it up, and the latter looked at it and opened the door directly to let him enter. Lulu's pupil shrank, and he couldn't believe it. This. Just go straight in? Don't. Is he the child of an internal employee's family? However, this possibility was quickly ruled out, because any football club has a clear rule that non-staff are not allowed in, and even the top management does not have the right to allow family members to enter the training base. Could it be the child of the shareholder's family? It wasn't until the wooden gate was closed tightly that Lulu slapped his forehead sharply and muttered, I knew to ask him for a number, when the time comes. Isn't there a drama when you get the first-hand materials for Liverpool's first-team training? Li Qing, who entered the Melwood training base, was quickly attracted by the building in front of him, and a landmark wooden sign showed 7 letters, Melwood in the center. It tells the world where this is. Melwood. There are also 2 words on the lower edge of Melwood, training and facility, which together can be translated as Melwood Training Base. At the far end is a modern 2-story building with a Liverpool logo on the red wall on the right, and a parking lot for first-team players, coaches and staff on the right. According to memory, he walked along the passage to the left of the bungalow, and if the memory of the predecessor is correct, it is the training ground leading to the first team. The players and coaches have not yet arrived at Melwood, but the staff are busy working hard to provide logistical support for the next first-team training. Li Qing couldn't help but clench his fists and cheer himself up. You must stay here. Episode 55. Li Qing was promoted from the youth team to the first team for the first time, and there was no exclusive wardrobe in the first team dressing room. He originally wanted to change a training shirt outside the stadium casually, but the staff immediately stepped forward to ask. After learning that Li Qing was a youth team player promoted by head coach Klopp, the logistics department staff took Li Qing into the first team dressing room and said that Klopp had told the logistics department to make relevant preparations when he ordered him to be promoted. With such logistical support, how can Li Qing not have a sense of belonging? Although this is a very small thing, many things are often determined by the details. A Liverpool executive who set the latest rules did not expect that it was the small changes he made to the club that made Liverpool a real superstar in the future. Getting back to business, Li Qing put his satchel in the wardrobe without a name card pasted, then quickly changed his training shirt and went to the natural grass where the first team usually trains. After about 20 minutes, the body was fully warmed up and stretched, and he began training with the ball. At this time, there are already first-team players driving to the dedicated parking lot, and on the way from the parking lot to the dressing room, the players can see that there is already a person on the training ground practicing with the ball. They are curious that no teammate will come to the training ground early, and there are even teammates who want to step on it. Woodburn and Alexander-Arnold were Liverpool's under-18 teammates last season and are still watching the under-18s this season, who were called up to the first team by Jurgen Klopp. From the slump at the beginning of the season to the outbreak in the middle of the season, it can be described as a non-falling. Therefore, they know that the explosion of the U18 does not come from the credit of the whole team, but Li Qing with his 15 goals in 5 games. He is rumored to have been followed by England under-20 youth coach Paul Simpson and under-17 manager Steve Cooper to reserve talent for this year's 2 age groups of the World Junior Championships and World Junior Championships. Isn't the teenager who was training with the ball in front of him Li Qing? They had long heard that Li Qing was the first to come to the Corkerby Academy and the last to leave during the training week, and now it seems that it is indeed true. Henderson, the captain of the team, saw Woodburn and Alexander-Arnold slow down and looked at the pitch, so he asked, Ben, Trent, what are you looking at? Woodburn pointed at Li Qing. I think I already know who the new teammate the head said is. He is? Henderson remembered Klopp's talk that there would be new players this week, and he always thought the team would poach top strikers from some big club, but he didn't expect it to be the teenager in front of him. It's the U18 popular striker, Li. Oh? Henderson looked at Li Qing with a hint of surprise in his eyes. Could it be that he is the same Li who played his senior year and assisted in the FA Youth Cup last weekend to help Liverpool U18 beat Manchester City U18? Although Henderson is not from Liverpool's youth academy, as captain he occasionally follows the club's youth academy, and Li Qing's name has been particularly popular in the past month or so. That's right, it's him. Arnold nodded his head. Henderson raised his eyebrows. If he remembered correctly, Li Qing was not yet 16 years old. Does a teenager have what it takes to join the first team? He was skeptical. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Klopp put his hands behind him, stared at the first-team players with less than 20 in front of him, and said in a loud voice, "Before today's training begins, I want to introduce new teammates to everyone here." Saying that, he looked at Li Qing. His name is Qing Li, and he is from the Kirkby Academy U18 youth team striker. Klopp's introduction was very direct, simple, and clear, and then clapped his palms. "Today's training, are you ready?" "Ready." Every Liverpool player roared in unison and greeted today's training with a full spirit. Li Qing Glenn, who was standing on the side, was very different from the training atmosphere in the youth team, so he did not react. "Good." Klopp's sharp gaze swept across the faces of each team member, satisfied with everyone's reaction. His mood remained high. "I announce. Today's training officially begins." After speaking, he looked at Woodburn and Arnold, and changed his tone. "Ben, Alexander, Lee is from the U18, you two usually have to communicate with Lee more and let him integrate into the first team as soon as possible. Is there a problem?" "No problem, sir," Woodburn and Arnold said in unison. The team began to warm up for training, and Arnold and Woodburn ran to Li Qing at the same time to introduce themselves. The three youngsters are all from the Kirkby Academy and have a common topic, and soon become friends who have nothing to say. Klopp, who stood in the coaching dugout, looked at it in his eyes, satisfied in his heart. He had a youthful storm during his time in charge of Dortmund, and he still wanted to repeat himself when he came to Liverpool. Woodburn and Arnold are a little immature. In order to fulfill this wish, Li Qing needs to grow up as soon as possible. At that time, Woodburn, Arnold, and Li Qing will occupy the three main positions of the Red Army, and the Red Whirlwind will sweep across Europe. The script has already been written in Klopp's head, but it is unknown whether the three grew according to his ideas. After an hour of warming up and stretching, the regular training officially began, and the first-team players who had originally doubted Li Qing's strength became dignified. Especially in terms of speed, Li Qing shocked many defenders in the team. Central defender Lovren couldn't help but exclaim, "Even Sadio is not as fast as Li, right? Are you really under 16? In addition to the incredible speed, the long pass, foot technique and scoring ability do not look like a minor." Of course, Li Qing's real foot technique has not yet reached a certain height, and the reason why he shows amazing footwork in front of his teammates is completely because he uses the 5-star technology card in order to be recognized by his teammates. Li Qing's ability was recognized by most players in the team. Klopp was very satisfied. Originally he wanted Li Qing to feel the atmosphere of the Premier League, and did not really want him to represent the first team, but Li Qing was unanimously praised by his teammates, which basically means that he has the ability to play in the top English competition. After all, the training matches are all about going all out, without the slightest release of water. If you perform well in this situation, what reason not to be optimistic about the future of professional leagues? Episode 56. Li Qing was recognized by most of Liverpool's first-team players at Melwood's training base, but he was not proud. On the contrary, he still put his mentality and wanted to make himself stronger. His performance in the team is indeed eye-catching, and his teammates are also giving their best, but this does not include absolute strength, and the strong value that has just passed the pass is difficult to compare with his teammates, and if he is really in the professional arena, it must be several times more difficult than the inter-team game. However, Li Qing is good at using his brain. He never fights with physically strong opponents, and his strengths are short against opponents. As the training time increased, Klopp realized that Li Qing's ball intelligence was even higher than expected. Assistant coach Kovac, who was standing on the right side of Klopp, looked at Li Qing. "Jurgen, this little guy is really strong. I believe it won't be long before he can meet the requirements of the first team." "Yes." Another assistant coach, Kravitz, nodded and said, "As long as he adapts to the training atmosphere of the first team, maybe he can try to come off the bench." "But Lee will turn 16 next month." Kovacs thought of the worry in his heart. It's better for Reuven to conclude this question. Klopp's eyes are still focused on Li Qing, who has performed well. Kovac and Kravitz looked at each other. Klopp mentioned Reuven as Liverpool's medical director. As long as he believes that Li Qing's physical condition can meet the requirements for playing, then it means that Li Qing can participate in the top level of England. Otherwise Li Qing can only continue to train in the first team or return to the Kirkby Academy to continue his studies. Li Qing's ability has been difficult to improve in Kirkby, only in the first team. In addition, with Li Qing's outstanding performance on behalf of Liverpool U18, several opponents in the Premier League and major European giants have made tentative offers. Coupled with Mendes' pressure, it is definitely impossible to let Li Qing return to the youth team, otherwise the club will definitely lose blood. The two sides signed an apprenticeship contract, and the recognized tacit buyout clause was nothing more than a sprinkling of water for the wealthy club, and it was worth it to buy a semi-finished lottery ticket that had already been approved for millions of euros. Liverpool host Swansea on Saturday. with 45 points from Tottenham and only third and third place on goal difference, with Swansea at the bottom of the league and one of the favourites for relegation in the Premier League this season. The two teams are far apart in terms of rankings and strength, and the outside media almost unanimously believes that there is no suspense in this game, and the home team Liverpool are likely to take advantage of the strong dialogue between Tottenham and Manchester City in this round to open the point difference. Li Qing, who is a member of Liverpool's first team, also thought so, but he did not make the squad for the game, and in the end he could only sit in the audience to cheer for the team. No one expected that the game that should have been without suspense would be exposed to the upset, with Swansea beating the home team 3-2 away. Losing 3 points is not particularly depressing for Klopp, and it is uncomfortable that Sturridge strained his thigh muscles in the closing stages. Liverpool's striker, already stretched thin by Maine's participation in the Africa Cup, has now lost Sturridge, and the next game. Worrying. The next game is the second leg of the League Cup semi-final, and Liverpool, who lost 1-0 away to Southampton in the first leg, must win at home in the second leg or break the semi-final. Later in the 2016-2017 Premier League season, the closely watched Chelsea beat Hull City 2-0 at home to go from 7 points to 10 points ahead of Liverpool. Manchester City's first 4 games at home to Tottenham ended in draws, with Chelsea, who had won the round, and Arsenal, who won this round. Arsenal, who were originally ranked 4th, overtook Tottenham and Liverpool with victories and climbed the table. According to the schedule, it is undoubtedly very beneficial to Liverpool, and sitting at home, almost 9 wins. It was in this situation that losing became unacceptable, and the negative media coverage made Klopp feel a lot of pressure. Liverpool have won 1 win, drawn 3, and lost 2 in all competitions since entering 2017, winning the third-round rematch of the FA Cup against Plymouth, England's 4th-tier team. Li Qing, who returned to Melwood training the next day, felt that the atmosphere of the team was extremely depressed, and Firmino, who usually likes to joke, frowned. During the afternoon training, Craven was extremely dissatisfied with Lallana due to the excessive shoveling action, and if the two had not been stopped by their teammates in time, it was likely that they would have had a live fight. There is a saying in football that a win can cover up a lot of problems. On the contrary, losing can expose all kinds of problems. The team has not won in a row. Even if Klopp has the intention to give Li Qing a chance to play, he can only push it back, hoping to wait for the right opportunity to play before giving Li Qing a play. Now the team is very difficult. If you pin your hopes on Li Qing, it will be absolutely unfair to Li Qing. The day before the midweek Carabao Cup home game against Southampton, assistant coach Bovac announced that the squad still lacked Li Qing's name. He felt helpless about this. The team is currently in trouble, and as a member of the first team, he is very keen to help the team. Coutinho returned the day before the match, but he did not help Liverpool, with Shane Lang's goal before the end of the game helping Southampton knock out the home side 2-0 on aggregate to advance to this season's Carabao Cup final. Including a 1-0 defeat to Southampton in the first leg of the League Cup semi-final, Liverpool have gone 5 consecutive winless games in all competitions. The media is always afraid of the world. Liverpool are not winless in 5 games, the league has fallen from the top of the table to 4th, Manchester City is only 2 points ahead of the 5th place in the league, and 4 points ahead of Manchester United, who are 6th in the league. It's fair to say that next season's Champions League place is in jeopardy, and if Liverpool can't change the team's current disadvantage, they are likely to miss the Champions League for 3 consecutive seasons. Episode 57, Liverpool are winless in 5 consecutive games, and the next league opponent is leaders Chelsea, who are 10 points away from each other, plus poor form. Even if they sit at home, they are not favoured. Before that, though, Liverpool have an FA Cup 4th round at Anfield, where they host Wolves from the Championship. With only 2 days between Liverpool's home game against Wolves and Chelsea, it will be doomed that Liverpool will not send a main player against Wolves, and the squad is likely to be individual main players plus young players plus substitutes. Li Qing has the best chance to enter Liverpool's first team, and despite the depressed atmosphere and bad mood, he is very motivated to train and hopes to impress the coaching staff with his continuous excellent performances. At the same time, assistant coach Bovac said to Jurgen Klopp, "Jurgen, most of the players in the first team are affected by the winning streak now. Li is one of the few players who has maintained good form. Should he be brought in the FA Cup the day after tomorrow? He is in better shape than Harry Wilson and Ben Woodburn, or put on the starting list?" Klopp shook his head and said, "Li's fit with the team is not enough. It is not wise to put him in the starting list rashly. Professional football is very different from youth training. He does not like defense. Be safe. Put him in the game squad first. That's fine, step by step." Bovac nodded his head, and Klopp said solemnly, "Has Li's rapid counter-attack tactical system been worked out?" Liverpool's home games against Wolves and Chelsea are their last 2 opponents in January, after winning only one of 7 opponents and losing 6 games remaining. The FA Cup format is a tiebreaker, excluding the semi-finals and finals, and each competition will have to be replayed at a later date as long as it is drawn, which is a game that Liverpool, which is currently in poor condition. But given that Liverpool have league leaders Chelsea ahead of Wolves, this unaffordable game could turn into a strategic waiver. Of course, none of the participating players were willing to give up, especially Li Qing. The day before the match, as is customary, assistant coach Bovac took the roster to announce the 18-man squad for the 4th round of the FA Cup tomorrow night at Anfield. There was little reaction from the main players in the first team, and the substitutes and players promoted from the youth teams pricked up their ears for fear of missing their names. The 2 goalkeepers shortlisted in the 18-man squad are Karius and Mignolet, defenders Randall, Gomez, Clavin, Moreno and Arnold, and Lucas, Oviaria, Wijnaldum, Harry Wylerson, Emre Can, Milner and Stewart. By the time it was announced here, 14 places had appeared, which means that there were still 4 places left. Bovac tepidly continued to publish the list: Roberto Firmino, Divock Origi, Felipe Coutinho. With the last spot left, Woodburn and Li Qing glanced at each other, and if they were not mistaken, the two could only have one to enter the squad for tomorrow's match. Although Woodburn has already played in Liverpool's first team, and scored his first goal in the professional league at the end of November last year, and set a new record for the youngest goal in Liverpool's history set by Michael Owen in May 1997 at 17 years and 143 days, Li Qing's performance during this period of promotion to the first team was too good. Therefore, there is no bottom in the heart. Li Qing is confident in his performance, but he is too young to be the choice of head coach Klopp. Hey, assistant coach Bovac suddenly looked at Li Qing and smiled slightly. Is it? Li Qing faintly felt something. Only to hear Boise speak loudly, Li. Woodburn's anticipation was instantly occupied by disappointment, but during this time, he developed a high friendship with Li Qing, and he was very happy to hear that his friend was shortlisted for the first time in the first team 18-man squad. Therefore, he was the first teammate to celebrate Li Qing. Li, congratulations. Li Qing finally reacted, and his heart was surging. Alexander-Arnold and 2 other academy graduates Oviaria and Harry Wilson and other teammates congratulated Li Qing and hoped he could get his chance at the Wolves game. At the same time, Li Qing heard a prompt tone from the system: ding. Congratulations to the host for being shortlisted for the first team tournament and rewarding an offensive talent draw. Hearing this reward, Li Qing vented his joy at being shortlisted for the 18-person roster. This reward narrows the talent draw to attack, which means that his talent will only be reflected in the attacking end of shooting power, headers, long-range shots, free kicks, penalties, dribbling, possession, short passes, crosses and long passes. Accurate shooting is a shooting talent, and a good long pass is a long pass talent, which means that the scope of the talent draw has been narrowed down again to shooting power, header, long shot, free kick, penalty, dribbling, ball control, short pass and cross. In addition to penalty, short pass and cross talent is quite chicken. The talent of the other 6 attributes will be greatly reflected in future games. Thinking of this, his heart became even more excited. Bovac patted Li Qing on the shoulder and said in a heavy tone, being shortlisted is just your first step into professional football, and then there are substitutes to appear, although it is very likely that you will not be able to play, but I hope you are mentally prepared to play. Football games are changing rapidly. Who knows what will happen in the next moment, you say? Li Qing heard the other party's words, and clenched his fists with confidence. Mr. Zeliko, I am ready to fight at any time. Come on, Jurgen and I are optimistic about you. Episode 58. Liverpool's record heading into 2017 is strange, especially for Liverpool fans. The last win over Manchester City at the end of 2016 was only 4 points away from the top Chelsea, and with 2 draws and 1 defeat, the 4-point gap turned into 10 points, so some media said that Liverpool had withdrawn early from this season's league title race. After all, one state is good, and the other is in a slump. It seems that there is a tone for a long time. Lexi commentator Jen is a Liverpool fan, but he is also not optimistic about Liverpool's league prospects, and even the 4th round of the FA Cup is not very optimistic. The FA Cup is known as a hotbed of upset, and Liverpool have to take care of the big game at home against Chelsea, so that the FA Cup 2 days ago will definitely have reservations, and Wolves from the Championship must know this, and naturally want to take the opportunity to give it a shot, so as to at least have a chance to replay and increase the club's income. In John June's view, the snoozing tiger may be gnawed off by the wolves with beast hair. Of course, as a Liverpool fan, Jean still has a certain expectation in his heart. What if? Jean County is the #1 commentator recruited by Lux Sport and a Liverpool fan, and this FA Cup 4th round match between Liverpool and Wolves will certainly not be left behind. In addition, Wolves have been wholly acquired by the consortium Renaissance International for £45 million last June, and are the first wholly owned capital team in England, which is enough to become one of the focuses of domestic fans. In the early hours of the same evening, Jean County finally waited for the FA Cup 18-man squad from Liverpool's official website. Can become the well-deserved well-known commentator in China. In addition to the understanding skills in place, his commentary fairness is recognized, even if it is to explain the home team Liverpool's game, often in order to increase the fun of game commentary. He often records the resume of each player in the game squad and personal commentary notes before the game to avoid too boring in the commentary process. In the 18-man roster seen on Liverpool's official website, Jean County has recorded the resumes of 17 of the players, including when the player began to contact football, at what age he entered the youth academy, what performance he performed during the period, and even the latest lace news and interesting facts about a player can be grasped in time, which can be called the Encyclopedia of Premier League players. It's just that he was a little confused when he saw the last name on the big list. The nationality showed Great Britain, but the name was spelled strangely, Qing Li. There is nothing wrong with the spelling of the surname, the problem is that the spelling of the first name is very Chinese. So, he entered the Liverpool website to inquire. However, the official website provides very limited content, only Li Qing's 3 months of consecutive promotions-related news, from U15 U16 to U18, and then from U18 directly promoted by head coach Klopp to the first team. Seeing this news, Jean Jun suddenly became more interested. What is this young British player spelled in Mandarin, capable of jumping through the ranks in a row? The official website of the English National Youth Super League, the official website of the FA Youth Cup, the official website of the Kirkby Academy and Google search are all common means in Jean County, and over the years, it has been focusing on the Premier League live broadcast and often goes to the Premier League team live broadcast, and has its own connections. At the same time, Li Qing, who returned home, entered the system for the first time. Tomorrow afternoon, he will be on the bench at Anfield Stadium, and the mood is still high, although he has been mentally prepared, but the moment when he really becomes the limelight will be a little bit excited and nervous. In order to be able to perform well in the presence of a chance, he hopes to draw vital offensive talent. Examples include dribbling, skill, long-range shots, or shooting power. As the saying goes, it's better to think too much than to do it directly, and he directly switched out of the lottery wheel with his mind. The hands went from stationary to dynamic, and finally gradually stopped at 7 o'clock, and the system prompt sounded, ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent, dribbling master, groove. Good stuff. Hearing the talent reward prompted by the system, Li Qing blurted out. You don't need to look at the talent analysis, just listen to the name to know how awesome it is. As a winger, the dribbling must not be too weak, on the contrary, it must be strong enough, otherwise it will be difficult to put pressure on the opposing defense. What did he often buy 5-star technology cards for in previous training and competitions? Don't want to show off your superior dribbling and foot skills? The talent of the dribbling master basically means that he no longer needs to buy 5-star technology cards often in the future. This saves a lot of coins. According to his plan, with playing in the first team, he will definitely not be able to play the whole game before reaching excellent physical fitness, and he will naturally need to buy a fitness potion in the system mall at that time. Compared to almost all 5 gold cards, the stamina potion is 6 times more expensive, and the recovery effect of a single match is reduced by half as the number of times you use it. According to the text analysis of the fitness potion, a single bottle can restore 50% of physical fitness, which is equivalent to saying that only 25% of physical fitness can be restored after the second use of a single game, 12.5% of physical fitness can be restored for the third time in a single game, and so on. Super Fitness Potion does not have this problem, but the price is more expensive than ordinary health potion, requiring 80 gold. To get back to the point, the effect brought by Dribbling Master is obvious through the data. His original 73 dribbling instantly became 91, randomly increasing the value of 18 points, and dribbling also became Li Qing's second 90-plus attribute. It is worth mentioning that Li Qing has also increased a lot of changes through reality and systems since he was promoted to the first team, from 60 to 61 in strength, from 65 to 67 in physical fitness, from 77 to 78 in skill, from 55 to 62 in shooting power, from 68 to 70 in possession, from 60 to 62 for short passes, from 61 to 64 for crosses, from 85 to 86 for long passes, and from 70 to 75 for running without the ball. Episode 59. The data has been slightly improved, among which Li Qing is most satisfied with his height to 177, which is one step closer to the 180 in his mind. Of course, if it can grow to about 185, it is no problem. Before quitting the system, Li Qing also practiced shooting power in the training ground, and he could only increase his scoring means through this day-to-day practice without drawing long-range talent. The object that Li Qing wants to surpass is Messi and Ronaldo during the peerless double pride period, so he must get closer to the two as soon as possible in terms of scoring means, so as to climb to the top of the world. Until his stomach was grumbling with hunger and came out of the system training ground, he was full of food and drink. He found that his mobile phone had 2 WeChat messages sent by Tong Shenbing, and he was worried that no one shared it together, so he smiled and replied to a WeChat, "Cousin, I am shortlisted for the FA Cup squad where Liverpool host Wolves tomorrow." Tong Shenbing, who entered the first team, knows, but she does not think that Li Qing has a chance to enter the Liverpool squad. After all, the age is there, and it is unlikely that any manager will bring a teenager under the age of 16 to the professional arena. Many professional teams may put potential players in the first team to participate in training, and young players training with professional players is faster than in the youth team, but meeting the requirements of professional players is another matter. Tong Shenbing concluded that even if Li Qing performed well in the youth team, he could not meet the requirements of the first team, so he replied with text, "You little liar, every time you play in Liverpool you say that you are in the squad, this is the 3rd time, you say I will believe it?" Li Qing, in that case, how about we make a bet? Tong Shenbing was obviously convinced of Li Qing, and quickly replied, "Bet on it, I'm afraid you won't make it." Hee. Li Qing sent a voice message with a smile, "If I appear in the competition squad, you will let me kiss it?" After listening to the voice, Tong Shenbing's face turned red, and she was about to reply, and she suddenly remembered that Li Qing seemed to be full of confidence today, and there was an obvious smile when she spoke, so she listened again. In addition to the obvious smile in the voice, you can faintly feel a faint hint of excitement. Could it be? Really made the tournament squad? Although she is not as good as those real fans, she still knows a little. The Premier League giants have always liked to use the FA Cup and League Cup to train, so that Li Qing can feel the atmosphere of professional matches in advance on the bench. Thinking of this, she quickly opened the official FA Cup app, and the squad for the match between Liverpool and Wolves was on the main page. At the end of the large list, there is a unique spelling of Li Qing's name. You little pit. Fortunately, Ben Baby is smart. Li Qing knew that Tong Shenbing should have seen the official list of matches, so he changed his words. "The gambling continues, how about I come off the bench? If you still don't dare to bet, you can add a goal, and when the time comes, the 2 bets will settle together." Tong Shenbing frowned slightly, fell into deep thought, and had a gradually firm thought in his mind. "It seems that I will win no matter what, right? Or take a gamble?" After about half a minute, Tong Shenbing replied with text, "Bet on bet. We say obvious first, even if you come off the bench, you can't win, you have to score. Since you said that 2 gambling games are settled together, then you have to score too. Otherwise you lose. If you lose, you will." "Forget it, I haven't thought about it yet, I thought of telling you again." "No problem." Li Qing is full of confidence in himself. Thinking that he would appear on the home bench at Anfield Stadium tomorrow, Li Qing had a feeling of excitement, and this situation continued until after 3 o'clock in the morning to slowly fall asleep. At 6:30 in the morning, Li Qing woke up on time. Because he slept too late last night, he was not in good spirits, and looked at himself in the glasses, and the 2 big panda eyes were particularly bright. If you go to the training ground in this state, you will definitely be told by the coach, maybe the opportunity to appear on the field will be lost. What to do? Suddenly, his brain opened, his eyes lit up. The time ratio between the system training ground and reality is 4-1, so sleep without training, I don't know if it is okay? System, can I sleep at the training ground? Li Qing could clearly feel that there was an emotional change in the system at this moment, but his voice still did not have much emotion. Theoretically, yes. With this answer, he quickly cut out the system, entered the training ground, and made up for sleep. For hours after the system training ground, Li Qing woke up, and the real time was only 7:40, more than an hour before the 9 o'clock assembly mentioned by assistant coach Boaks yesterday. The taxi arrived at Melwood at 8:40, which was obviously much later than the first arrival in the past, and Arnold quipped, "Lee, it's not like your old style today." Li Qing and Arnold walked side by side to the bus parked in the Melwood base, slightly embarrassed, a little insomnia. "It's too late today." Arnold smiled and patted Li Qing on the shoulder. "Normal, I remember that when I first entered the squad, I didn't sleep all night, I was too nervous, but you are better than me. At least you are asleep, otherwise I won't want to have a chance to play this afternoon's game." As the coaching staff members boarded the bus doors closed tightly and slowly drove towards the hotel in the city center, which also meant that the 4th round of the FA Cup was getting closer. Episode 60. Before Liverpool's home game, the team will make final preparations at the Hilton Hotel, which means that the whole team will stay in the hotel until the bus to Anfield Stadium. Long before Liverpool arrived at the Hilton Hotel by bus, many media and fans were already waiting early. Click, click, click. The bus has not stopped. Reporters and fans can't wait to press the shutter and shooting button in their hands. The sound of flashing lights continues to come out of the window. Li Qing feels like Ballon, the protagonist of Nine-Pin Sesame Officer, was awakened by a silver ingot. Through the glass window, Li Qing saw many die-hard Liverpool fans holding up banners, slogans, and fan scarves to support their beloved team. "You will never go alone," which is often heard at Anfield Stadium, can also be faintly heard. Li Qing held his breath and muttered in a voice that he could only hear, "If I have the opportunity, I must go on the field and score." Lu, a reporter from Chiodi, is a member of the Reporter, and with the solid game he has practiced in the past 2 years, he has grabbed an excellent shooting position in the territory of European and American reporters. First up is manager Jurgen Klopp, and although the team's results have been poor since January, it does not affect his position in the hearts of Liverpool fans, and there is an endless stream of voices supporting him. Klopp was very impressed by the support of the fans, waved his thanks to the fans, and Lu, like other colleagues, recorded the best footage of this scene on camera. Firmino, Coutinho, Lucas, Wijnaldum and other players were all players that reporters rushed to photograph, until a relatively unfamiliar immature face got off the bus and slowed down the rhythm of buttoning. Although Li Qing's popularity in the world is extremely low, reporters will take photos out of instinct, and as a bottom, Lu always feels the same when he looks at the young Oriental face in the center of the lens. Local journalists who follow England's youth academy and Liverpool have gradually increased their shooting frequency, with Alexander-Arnold, Iaria, Harry Wilson and Li Qing all future stars produced by the Corkaby Academy of Youth. Especially Li Qing, the super performance of the past few days is still vivid. Li Qing shouted to the fans who followed Liverpool's youth training. His slightly immature handsome face showed a faint smile, feeling that he walked with the wind. This feeling. That's great. It wasn't until Li Qing's figure disappeared from sight that Lu suddenly remembered that the teenager who had just passed by was not the Chinese who he met at the gate of the Melwood training base that day. Part of Liverpool? No way. But the facts are in front of him. If it wasn't for the Liverpool players, how could the goalkeeper let him in? If you weren't a Liverpool player, how could you take a Liverpool team-only bus? Moreover, there are many fans wearing Liverpool shirts shouting Li, which does not mean that he has a certain place in the hearts of Liverpool fans. So he took out his mobile phone and logged on to the official website of the FA Cup to watch the squad for the fourth-round match between Liverpool and Wolves. In Liverpool's 18-man squad, there is a name that appears on the list for the first time. Qing Li. Isn't Qing a unique spelling of the name? Other words. The Liverpool youth player named Li Qing is a proper Chinese player. Immediately, he took out £1 from his pocket and asked the reporter wearing the nameplate of the Echo newspaper next to him, "Hey buddy, asked you something." Originally, the reporter of the Echo newspaper did not want to take the land route, but for the sake of £1, he leaked a little news. No wonder Li Qing has a high status in the hearts of Liverpool fans. It turns out that he is a talented player trained by Kirkby, only 16 years old, a real genius. Lulu's eyes lit up. Is the world's most populous country. The number of Chinese working abroad is also the world's largest. Chinese are even more. Chinese professional players are not news. The problem is that Li Qing is from Liverpool youth training and entered Liverpool's 18-man squad for the FA Cup. It may be a long way from participating in the competition, but news such as the appearance of second-generation Chinese players in the squad of Premier League giants Liverpool will definitely cause a sensation in China. It has been almost 2 years since he came to England and has not been promoted, and this news makes him feel like a spring breeze, and he feels that the peak of his life is coming. After a while, Lu came to a quieter place to make an international call, and after about a few seconds, the phone was connected, and a majestic voice came from the earpiece. "Xiao Lu, call me at this time, is there something wrong?" "President Chen, you have found a particularly exciting news." "What news?" The sound in the earpiece has a faint hint of anticipation. "Do you know about the FA Cup fourth round in which Liverpool host Wolves? Liverpool's 18-man squad has a second-generation British Chinese who is not yet 16 years old, and I asked some local Liverpool fans who completed the quadruple jump in just 3 months, jumping from U15 to the first team, if." Speaking of this, Lulu's emotions became excited. "If you can have the opportunity to appear." That President Chen was obviously an expert. His eyes looked far away, and he basically knew what this meant, so he asked Lu, "Xiao Lu, is this news accurate? I can bet on my future in the company." "Good. If the news is true, you will be the vacant deputy manager for Europe."